I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the news channel Newsmax, but it is pretty much a more far-right, more radical Fox News. And there was an interesting thing on Fox News after the January 6th hearings, after the specific testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson, where the daytime hosts, at least, of course we understand the nighttime hosts, those are the more what they call opinion, that's the Tucker Carlsons, the Sean Hannitys, Laura Ingraham, a little more unhinged, a lot more unhinged. But the daytime hosts try to be a little bit more like newsy. And after the testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson, there was an interesting response from them where they really gave credit to the January 6th committee, gave credit to the credibility of Cassidy Hutchinson, and reflected on how bad this looks for Trump. And that's unheard of. Fox News rarely allows criticism to be heard about Donald Trump, about the Republican Party. And so seeing some of these daytime Fox News hosts, specifically Brett Bair, who was reacting right after the testimony was over, really gave an honest telling and an honest response and a reasonable response to that groundbreaking testimony from former Trump staffer Cassidy Hutchinson. What was interesting though, and the reason why I brought up Newsmax at the beginning of this, is Newsmax, one of their hosts, did this whole segment going after Fox News. So a lot of times Newsmax, if Fox News takes even a slightly reasonable stance, will attack them to try to get some of their viewers who don't like the more moderated hosts. And that's what we're going to be checking in on today. It's kind of a long clip, but it's very telling of the different segments of the right. You have this really conservative, but somewhat attached to reality block of people like Brett Bair, who, again, conservative guy, but he can look at a testimony from these January 6th hearings and say, yeah, that's pretty damning. That doesn't look great for Donald Trump. And she's coming from a very credible place. But then you have the even more unhinged, the even more far right group of people who it doesn't matter if the evidence was fed to them, with a spoon, they're going to deny it. And a lot of how this host on Fox News attempts to attack Brett Bair and attack Fox News and attack the witness is telling about how little they really have to make genuine deconstructions of these arguments and of these testimonies. So let's take a look. This is Newsmax host something. I don't know his name. I don't care to know his name. But he's about to talk about Fox News failing to cover for Trump enough.
This is Brett Bair, their head political guy.
This testimony was very compelling from beginning to end. She obviously had access to all of the players. What was so compelling, I think, is how it was laid out.
So this is on Fox News. Pretty crazy. Brett Bair responding right after the testimony like this.
We always point out that there's not a pushback, and it would have been great to hear Jim Jordan or some congressman say some other angle to this, but the testimony in and of itself is really, really powerful.
Compelling. It was laugh out loud funny at times. There's no Jim Jordan there, no Matt Gaetz. How about you, Brett? How about Fox?
Again, it is key to remember that the reason there's no other Republicans besides Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, is because the Republican Party decided not to participate. There was an option presented to them where there would be a split committee and the Republican Party would be heavily involved, and they decided not to do that. That was their decision. So bringing that up like it's some condemnation of the Democrats is silly. And also, as you'll see here, he says it was a joke. We were laughing out loud during the testimony, but doesn't provide any argument, any evidence for why she might not be telling the truth or why it's not believable, why it's funny. He just throws that out. Don't believe him, he says to his audience.
Fox News, use your resources.
Don't believe her, I should say, or Brett Bair.
Get on the phone, blow this junk out of the water where it belonged. More.
Why?
I've covered politics for a long time. I don't think there's been testimony like this that is kind of jaw-dropping in a way on the inside workings of a White House in crisis after, at this moment in January 6th, that we've seen since Watergate.
Since Watergate. He took this 23-year-old seriously since Watergate. Well, it shows me he doesn't know much about Watergate. He doesn't seem to know much about politics. I think what he's talking about is office politics. I'm pretty sure Brett has a real handle on the office politics.
Again, he's making so many thesis statements without any arguments below it. There's no body to his essay. He just keeps saying, oh, wow, he believed a 23-year-old. He shouldn't have done that. Why? She was super close to all of the people involved in this. Why would we not believe her? And I don't think she's 23. I think she's 26 or 27, maybe 25. You can see there's no argument to be made. It's just we shouldn't believe them because they're going after Trump and we don't like that. Boo-hoo. And then to him saying it's a dumb statement to make that this is the most groundbreaking type scandal since Watergate is insane. No, that is a very reasonable thing to say. Watergate related to a president miking, bugging the opposing party's headquarters to try to get information about their plans. Is that more significant than a president trying to stay in power unconstitutionally, unlawfully, denying election results? I think the latter is actually more significant. So great point by Brett Bair.
Now, President Trump, of course, defended himself. We know President Trump, right? We know what he's done. We know what he's been through. We know what he stands for. Whose side did they take at Fox News as far as credibility? Who has credibility?
This is all team sport talk. We're on, we know Trump. We love Trump. Which side did he take? That's not relevant. You should look at the facts and take the side of the truth. Don't care who's involved. Just look at the actual evidence that they're showing you. Look at the credibility of the evidence, then make up your mind. He's just appealing to which team are you on? Brett Bair's not on that team.
After yesterday, take a look.
He questions her accuracy. He goes after her directly, says he doesn't know who she is, and said he didn't lunge at the Secret Service agent in the Beast.
Look at the headline at the bottom here. You can't see it because it's popped up, but it says they are taking her. This is the Newsmax bottom third. They're taking her word over Trump's. Question mark, question mark, question mark. As if they're taking this credible former Trump staffer. I'm not saying she's credible generally. I'm saying the circumstances in which she's in make it to where the main incentive for her, even if it was just out of self-interest, would be to tell the truth right now. And so pretending like it's insane to take her word over Trump's, who all of his incentives would be to lie to protect himself, is absurd.
That didn't happen. He says he didn't throw his lunch against the wall. That didn't happen, and that she's lying. Cassidy Hutchinson is under oath on Capitol Hill. The president is on Truth Social.
Wow.
Great point. This is a point I've heard multiple commentators make, as well as right there and in other contexts. Okay, you want to claim that she's lying? Okay, you say you have other people who have other interpretations of those events. All right, she's under oath. You're not. You're, truthing out on Truth Social. Go under oath and then refute her points. Because it takes courage for her to go under oath and say these things, knowing that if it got proven false, she would be held legally responsible for that. Whereas just spouting off on social media doesn't have any repercussions for you if you're lying.
After everything we've seen, the phony Russia hoax, the two crazy impeachments, he's taking the side of this Cassidy because she held up her right arm at a hearing, at another phony baloney hearing. How many people have we seen do that? Vindman, Michael Cohen. I mean, these things are...
How many people have we seen come out and talk about how unhinged and dangerous Trump is? God.
Ludicrous. We all saw Donald Trump raise his right hand, didn't we? When he became president. I know he lived up to his oath. So back to Brett.
Oh my gosh. He's going to have to go to a literal surgeon to remove his lips from Trump's butt. That's crazy.
What's happening over there? Well, I did notice that Chris Wallace is gone, right? He moved to CNN. Do they need a new Chris Wallace? Hey, what about Chris Wallace? He is at CNN and he's still Chris Wallace.
What?
Can we talk about Cassidy Hutchinson? First of all, I bow to, particularly to you, Andy, as somebody involved in prosecutions. She was a great witness. She was absolutely precise.
Yep, still Chris Wallace, absolutely. All right, so we know he's okay.
Okay, that's all we'll look at. So again, no argument, no refutations in a meaningful way about what she actually said. All it is going out after them personally, laughing at what they say without attaching any sort of explanation for why it's funny. I don't know how they get away with this. Like, if I was reporting on something where someone who is more on my team, if you want to put it in that way, like he is more on Trump's team, was being possibly exposed for terrible actions. So let's say that I'm in that position and you hop on and my only explanation is just to call people dumb without, he didn't call them dumb, but like that vibe. Oh, you can't trust them. Why? Because you can't trust them. Oh, she's not credible. Why? Because she's not credible. Oh, Fox News isn't taking the side of Trump, but Trump's so amazing, so we should all take the side of him. That would not be convincing to anyone who watches my show or most shows, but for somehow this is all a lot of right-wing viewers need to go home, or not go home, to sit at home and feel okay about themselves and about the fact that they support someone who was okay letting our democracy die for his own gain.